right. What is your name?
My name's Chris Hart.
And what is your career and what credentials do you have?
So I'm currently working as a certified athletic trainer, and I hope you're ready for this alphabet soup. I have my MS, my MBA. I have LAT for licensed athletic trainer, ATC for athletic trainer certified, CSCS for certified strength conditioning specialist. I'm also a USA weightlifting level 1 coach and a CrossFit level 1 trainer.
That is a lot, but that's awesome. So where do you work and how long have you been working there?
So currently I'm working at Concentra, which is an urgent care facility, and I'm on a contract over at the CVG airport in Cincinnati. And I've been working there just over a year and a half now. And it's as a certified athletic trainer.
Do you like it there?
I do. I'm kind of in a trailer by myself in the middle of a construction site, but they send me enough injuries that it keeps it interesting. And I've got 3 other athletic trainers that I work with. Those guys are great too. So I enjoy it.
That's awesome. All right. So why did you decide to go down this path as a career?
Down athletic training, pretty much because of my injuries. So athletic training is actually my second career. I was in the military, active duty for 11 years, and I sustained quite a few injuries while I was on active duty. And after that, that's when I got my master's in athletic training. And I think it's because of those injuries that I just said, you know what, I should be able to rehabilitate myself, quit going to physical therapy and whatever else I was doing. Let's rehab myself. Let's truly figure out what's going on. And so that kind of prompted me into athletic training. And then the industrial side itself, very different from the traditional athletic training. If you've been in high school sports, you probably got to know your high school athletic trainer, maybe the same thing with college. And the industrial side is very different. I'm out there just making sure that a company, or in my case, this construction crew, stays productive. Mm-hmm. And so it's not necessarily about, hey, with the athletic trainers in high school, college, they want to get back to sport. That's a nice to have, to be able to play sport. But these are very much blue collar workers that absolutely need to get back to work. And so I think that's kind of why I like it a little bit better than the traditional setting, because these folks are relying on me to essentially earn a living and be able to put food on their table.
I didn't even know that was a choice. So that's awesome.
It absolutely is. And it's kind of nice too, because we're starting to get into the military. I know right now the Air Force has a very big push. In fact, I was recruited for one of the positions and I had to turn it down over in South Korea. But the Air Force is making a big push to get not necessarily athletic trainers, although those are one of the pushes, but to get strength coaches, the CSCS credentials embedded with what they call their wings, or the group of airmen that come together for a mission. So they're really trying to get a physical fitness focus into the Air Force. I know the Marine Corps is starting to get them, in the Navy as well. I don't know about the Army though, but very exciting push to get. I know you're probably geared towards the CSCS a little bit, based on what the credential that from the email. But we're, as athletic trainers and strength coaches, really starting to flourish in other settings as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, what major did you complete in your undergrad then?
Oh goodness! All right. So, in 2000, in December 2000, I graduated with my bachelor's in exercise science, and then I was commissioned in the Navy as an officer, and they didn't really care what my major was when I went into the military, because I went into explosive ordnance disposal, read that as bomb squad. And so I did that for 11 years. And while I was on active duty, I also got my MBA with an emphasis in sport management. I haven't used that really ever since I got it. And when I got out of the military, that's when I pursued. So the military probably too much information for you, but the federal government has a program called Troops to Teachers. And so, because I led sailors in a foreign country, thousands of miles away, they said, show us your degrees, we'll give you a teaching certificate and a teaching license. And so I got licensed to teach health, PE, and business. And I did that for a couple of years, and then I decided I wanted to get my master's in athletic training, and that's kind of what I've been doing since. And I'm currently pursuing my PhD in health and human performance. So a lot of education there,
Yeah.
some of it probably unnecessary.
Well, that's still awesome. I couldn't even imagine doing that many different things.
Yeah.
All right. So why did you choose to have all these different credentials then? You said you were kind of like put into it.
Well, so coming out of the military, I needed to open as many doors as I could. And so, and this would have been May of 2011, give or take a couple of months. And I just wanted to open as many doors as I could. So that's why I found the Troops to Teachers program, opened myself up to a teaching pathway. That's at the time in 2011. That's also when I got my CSCS credential so that I could become a strength coach, a personal trainer, something along those lines, because physical fitness was very important, especially when doing bomb disposal and all that good stuff. You had to be able to stay physically fit, and so health PE teacher, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Maybe strength conditioning, personal training. So that's why I went that route initially, and then I got injured doing something with the military there in 2000. What would that have been? December of 2012, and I didn't recover from it until September of 13. And so that's kind of what prompted me to, in 2014, go get my master's in athletic training. So just kind of happenstance there coming out of the military, and then for athletic training itself, that's why I went in there, was because of my own injuries.
That's awesome. I want to be like an athletic trainer, but
Okay.
So would you say that it's helpful to have your CSCS with your ATC?
Not as an athletic trainer, no. Unless you find a very specific niche somewhere. I have had friends, and I teach in an athletic training program in the greater Cincinnati area. So I have some students that come out of the program, and I keep up with a few of them. And one of them is actually at a very, very small high school as an athletic trainer, but is also their head strength and conditioning coach, and so got his CSCS as well. If you are going to go to a college and you're going to bridge some, and some colleges have it, some don't, there's a very fine gap where the athletic trainers are kind of done with you, but the strength coach isn't ready for you. Excuse me. And so there's a bridge to fill there.
Yeah.
And I do have a friend, that one of my former students, that is filling kind of that bridge from, they're done with athletic training, they've been rehabbed, but they're not quite ready to get a full return to sport. So if you can find that niche and that's what you want to do, then yes, it can be helpful. In the industrial setting like me, it doesn't really mean a thing, no.
Okay. Next question. Dang. Have you ever worked no, I already know that answer. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. What are the advantages and disadvantages of being an athletic trainer?
Well, certainly it depends on what kind of athletic trainer you are. As an industrial athletic trainer, I would say one of the advantages is having a regular schedule. And I'm sure you've seen, I know maybe through Ashley or through your high school athletic trainer, the schedules aren't always set. And so, especially during the summer, or maybe that holiday vacation there, that 3-4 weeks, there's maybe 2 hours of practice in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon, and they still want you to be available during the day, and it just gets ridiculous. And you might even be traveling, 2 hours with a football team. So you leave your house at 2 o'clock to go to work. You're not getting back till 2 p.m. And that 12-hour day is kind of long. So work-life balance, maybe if you're a little younger than I am, so you might enjoy something like that, for the first couple of years. But we'll just say I'm 40 something. I've got my own kids. I need a work-life balance that is a little bit better than, traveling unknown distances and hours and that sort of thing. So me, I work 5 days, 8 hours a day. I'm done. I know what my schedule is. So that's one of the nice advantages there. I guess one of the disadvantages, being an industrial athletic trainer, there are certain rules with OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and there are certain rules about athletic training and OSHA. And of course, it varies state to state, and I'm in Kentucky, and Kentucky does not have very good legislature for athletic trainers. Ohio is much better, Illinois much better, but Kentucky, I can't really do a whole heck of a lot, especially in the industrial setting. I think the rules in the industrial setting say that I can only evaluate and refer, and that's about it. If it's not OSHA first aid, and that's very well defined, if it's not OSHA first aid, I can't really do it. Unless they've already seen my doc, and my doc has written a prescription for me to take a look at them, and then at that point, he's already under a doctor's care, so I'm allowed to look at him.
Yeah.
And do my athletic training thing. But I guess the disadvantage with that then is that I don't really get to know my athletes, my workers, my industrial athletes. So, some guy shows up, I don't know who he is, he's there with a safety guy, a safety representative, or maybe a site foreman, and they just want him to get back to work. I don't get to know him or her. I don't, there's very little interaction other than, probably I'm giving a urinalysis to make sure they weren't high or drunk. So there's a breathalyzer there as well. So I'm doing that. I'm evaluating, and then I'm pretty much keeping it at OSHA first aid if I'm able. And like I said, they just want to know if this person can go back to work or not. Mm-hmm. Because if they can't, now they've lost productivity. And I get it. Like I said, I enjoy making sure folks can keep working, but from the corporation side, they just want to make sure they can keep that cog moving. So kind of the disadvantage there.
So do you wish you were able to get more personal with your athletes?
I wish I could, but I also understand that that's the nature of industrial. Now the military side, if I had gotten over there, you better believe I'd get to know every single man and woman in that air wing or that squadron or whatever the case may be, simply because I'd have to know them, inside and out in the field or on a deployment or wherever the case may be. So maybe if I can make that switch someday, I will. But right now, I kind of understand what the industrial side is going to encompass, and that's the nature of the setting.
So would you say everyone is kind of middle age, or what age group do you necessarily work with?
So that's kind of a tricky question, and I guess the short answer is anywhere from about 20 to retirement, 65 or so. But the true answer is that most construction workers that I come in contact with, they work until they can't work anymore. And so I generally don't get to see anyone until if they've had an acute injury, something happened right there and safety representatives saw it, I'm getting to see them right away. But if it's one of those cumulative, repetitive injuries, like maybe they're working a jackhammer and all that vibration is going through their arms or their chest, and it's just been bothering them, and it's been bothering them for a month or two, I don't see that person until their arm is about to fall off. And that's just because they want to keep working. And so I usually see, I'd say that mid to late 40s and on, because they're a little bit older and they don't recover as quickly from that cumulative trauma. Yeah. Where, a 25-year-old can just go home, throw some ice on it, take some Motrin, and probably going to be okay if it was relatively minor injury. So the folks I see aren't able to recover and heal as quickly, usually. I just had a guy a few days ago, he stepped on a nail, and I just had to, and went through a 2-inch protective boot. It just happened to miss it was steel plated too, and it just happened to miss where the steel plates didn't cover because there was a break in his boot, so that he could walk. And the nail went right through there.
Of course.
And of course, right. And I just cleaned it up, made sure his tetanus was up to date, and he said he was fine. Like I said, cleaned it up, threw a Band-Aid on it, and he was fine. But safety saw it, so I had to take a look at it. He would have gone home and just cleaned it up, taken a couple Tylenol, and he'd have never told anybody.
Oh,
I guarantee
jeez.
it. But because somebody saw it happen, that's why I got to take a look at it. So yeah, the population I see, I don't see them unless it's fallen off.
Would you say that you have a preferred age group to work with? Because I normally ask that, but you work at a very different type of field.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I always joke. I teach an athletic training class, and I always joke to the students that want to be high school athletic trainers. I always joke with them that the worst part about the high school athletes are their parents. And so, I like, and that's, they're just looking out for their kids. I understand that. And, I like working with the kids until I have to explain everything to them, and then their parent wasn't paying attention, and I get that phone call, that email, and I have to explain it again. And so the nice thing about the industrial side is that I explained it once, and I said it when I explain it, because of the way it's set up, I've said it to the worker himself or herself, the safety representative, and the foreman. So 3 people have heard me explain it. So the safety foreman, the safety representative, and the foreman are kind of like the parents in that situation, and so they're able to hear it and then keep them working or not working, as the case may be. But they each are their own separate worlds, and I mean, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. But do I have a preference? No, not really. You just have to know what you're getting into when you get into either or any setting, really.
I can't believe I never even thought of the industrial side. I was just like in the schools.
It's very new, yeah. And I don't know where you're at, but companies like ATI Physical Therapy, WorkFit, Fit for Work, Premise Healthcare, those are just 4 that come to my mind just because I've worked with them before, that are just making huge strides in the work environment in order to just protect the workers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then who do you work hand in hand with?
So, well, there's 3 other athletic trainers there in the trailer that I'm working with on site. I don't really work with them so much because we all have our own 8-hour shifts, and we might get briefed. Hey, you might see Joe Smith coming back because he hurt his ankle or whatever the case may be. But I'm not really working with another athletic trainer. I'm working with that construction worker. So my primary points of contact that I generally work with are going to be the insurance adjuster for the construction site, the insurance carrier, because they need all kinds of numbers and data so that they can pay the doctors or pay the physical therapists or workman's comp issues. So the insurance is a big piece with them, but there's a primary safety representative that I work with, and I have to keep him informed of basically any injury I see. And then each of the subcontractors has a safety representative that I work with. When I see that Joe Smith for his ankle, if he works for Company A, okay, I've worked with Joe Smith, I've worked with Company A's safety representative and their foreman, and then I have to tell my safety rep, the head safety rep for the site. So I guess the main person then would be the head safety rep, and then the other subcontractors as they get some injured folks coming in. But again, that's, thank goodness, this construction site, there's not as many injuries as you might expect, even with about 1,200 or so people on site at
Oh
any
my
given
goodness.
time. Yeah, it's a lot, about 1,000 acres and of construction going on, and then about 1,200 workers, give or take. And thank goodness there's just the safety folks are pretty well dialed in down there. So if something happens, if it just needs ice, heat, a Band-Aid, some Tylenol, little things like that, they're pretty well dialed in for that. And then if it's kind of one of those questionable, can we do it first aid, or does it need to be treated by a doctor? That's kind of where I come in to triage, those
Mm-hmm.
injuries, just to give that medical opinion on, yeah, let's keep this first aid. And that's what I try to do most of the time, because that's my job, is to keep the OSHA recordable injury rate down. But sometimes it's, hey, I had one guy, not to get too gross on you, but there was just some cabling that took some meat off of a finger, and I can't steri-strip that. I can't throw a Band-Aid on that. So the guy, he's like, oh, I'm fine. It's like, no, you're missing some meat off your index finger there. Like, we need to get you, looked at a minimum, and you'll probably be starting some antibiotics that I can't prescribe because there was no skin there to protect it. So,
Yeah,
but like I said, it's the job.
that's crazy. So my last question is, what advice would you give yourself when you were a freshman in college?
Oh my gosh, I was stupid as a freshman in college, and that was 25 years ago, give or take. Um, so if you had asked me as a freshman in college if I was going to be an athletic trainer, or hell, if I was going to have a master's degree or pursuing a PhD, I'd have told you there was no way. I think even as a freshman in college, if you asked me if I was going to be in the military, I wouldn't have said yes. Um, so I guess my advice is, keep your options open. Don't turn anything down. Don't burn any bridges. If something interests you, look into it. I think that's how I initially found the military. Into I spent a little extra time as an undergrad, so we'll say my second freshman year, I I found a little more interest in the military, and that's kind of where I started pursuing it there. So just if you find something interesting, look into it. Don't just, oh yeah, that does look kind of neat, and just never do anything with it. If it interests you, take at a minimum, look it up on Google, and at a maximum, sorry if you just heard that ding. um, at a minimum, look it up on Google. At a maximum, find somebody in that career field. Find, maybe there's a professor at your college, university that, maybe has a contact in that field, that industry, that subject, whatever the case may be. And I would say, as an athletic trainer, when you get your clinical education rotations, you'll get 3, 4, 5, depending on how your program's set up. You'll get those opportunities to go job shadow, show off what you know. Those are incredible networking opportunities, especially that last one as your last, maybe it's your last semester as a junior, that semester as a senior. Keep in mind that they may have a job opening as soon as you graduate. So use it as a networking opportunity. And I mean, semesters are 16 weeks long, and maybe you've been working there 30 hours a week. And that's a very lengthy job interview at 480 hours of job interview, but they'll get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
And, same thing. I know there are some colleges out there that are certified by the NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, in their CSCS program as well. And so they get you out there, high schools, colleges. Some can even get you into a professional sports team, working as a strength coach. And I know that's happened a couple times, not through the university I'm working with, unfortunately, but in the area. And, just find all those opportunities. If something interests you, look into it, because you may find that you really, really do like that.
Awesome. Thank you.